Live. Oh,
Here we are.
let's put the banner up.
Doing it now. Oh, you already did it.
Let's share it on Facebook.
Facebook.
Let's share it on LinkedIn, but I don't have any professional network anymore.
All right, so there we are.
Technorama podcast. Oh, look. Somebody putting some Trump information on there I should read. Share. Okay. 20 years. Someone stop this insanity. No, not us. Just getting older.
Stop the insanity.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We have somebody out there. We welcome your chat. We welcome your comments in the chat.
We'll welcome your chat too.
This is our 20th anniversary episode. Technically, the anniversary is on May 1st. This show will come out in audio form on April 30th. And then we're off for a couple of weeks because Craig has the big conference at work.
Yes.
Look what I printed, Craig.
What is that?
See if you can guess what's in this little box.
What's in it?
Yeah.
Bees?
No, not bees.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything like that before. What is it?
My razor.
Oh. Oh, it's got air holes so it can dry out.
Right.
All right. That's cool.
Kirk to Enterprise.
Yeah. I still think you should let the beard come out.
I don't think so. That would be a bad idea.
Why?
Because it itches.
Nah. Not that bad.
And I have very dry skin. And when a beard comes out, then I get more flakes on my shirt than I care to have.
No. A little beard oil helps with that.
Ugh.
A little beard oil goes a long way.
Then you're oiling your beard and not your skin.
That's not true. I'll work it in there. I just put like a drop or so on my
ass.
I put about a drop on my palm and I work it down the fingers.
One of us looks like he's aged 20 years since he started this podcast.
Well, at least I'm not lying to people.
I'm not lying to anybody. I'm taking advantage of what nature gave me.
Yeah.
My mom is 90 years old. No gray hair.
Well, I was just going to say, you don't have any really much gray
I've
hair.
got a little creeping in on the side. And if I had the beard, it would be all white.
Well, fortunately, I've got blonde hair. So the white hair that comes in the side is, on the side, it's kind of white.
It's not as blonde as you think. Your cartoons make it look as yellow as this box.
No, I'm just saying that the blonde hair kind of not hid it, but obscured it a little bit. But no, I don't care. That doesn't bother me.
All righty. Let's get started with our episode 771.
All right.
People watching, thank you for joining us. Let's make sure everything's working. The SD card is in the recorder. Mario's ready with the coin. Yep. We're good to go. As soon as I hit that, the monitor flickered again.
What is wrong with your monitor?
Oh, I don't know. It just started doing this like in the last couple of days. I was just in here yesterday. Because Grantis and I were...
It's upset with you because you were gone for a week.
Another topic. We're going to save that for the Patreon show. In the meantime, let us begin with episode 771. It's going to sound something like this. Technorama episode 771, 86% fun, 14% banging our heads against the wall. Hello and welcome to Technorama, the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. If you are new to this show, it's 20th anniversary.
Yeah, you got a big backlog to go listen to.
We don't have a completionist club.
Completionist club.
Nobody's made it that far.
There's been a couple people, I think, that have been here since the beginning.
Yeah. I think I don't even qualify because I was missing a couple, and when I come back, I don't listen to it.
Yeah, right.
I just
I
make sure
actually,
that I got posted.
I actually did listen. I do listen to ourselves sometimes.
Sometimes.
And you know what's funny is I listen to it and I make a joke to myself, like in the car,
Yeah.
and then I say the joke in the on the podcast.
Oh, I do that when I'm listening to some of the old stuff, like the episodes from 2008 or 2009. Like,
Yeah,
that's exactly the same as my brain is wired today. The thought process of how we go from one topic to the next
yeah,
hasn't changed. It's not like
no,
I come up with some new material or why would I have said
yeah.
that?
Well, I originally I started. I probably wouldn't listen to ourselves, but the reason I did it early, especially early on, was because of Skype.
Yeah, make sure it worked.
Yeah, well, there was such a lag with Skype. I mean, it was very difficult, and bandwidth also being a problem back then.
Should we do an imitation
I,
leg?
oh, yeah, that's hilarious, Chuck. No, but I would listen to it trying to work on our timing
No,
because,
I said, should we do it?
yeah, I know. Have you hit record yet?
Twice.
Twice.
People with the H2s will know what we're talking about. They laugh.
That's right. That was funny. That was a tough lesson to learn with that stupid thing.
All right, we're not in the pre-show anymore. Let's turn that banner off because we
Oh,
do have some comments. Thank you very much. We have
oh, Gilles.
congratulations on 20 years of Technorama and many more to come.
Thank you, Gilles.
I always learn something new from watching your show.
Oh, wow.
How not to podcast.
That's right. Yeah, Gilles' a coworker. It's cool. I'm glad.
All
glad to hear. I
right.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Wait, that sounds like a French name. Maybe it's Canadian French. Let us know where you're from. Because if
It's
you're in
French.
France right now,
Yeah, not
wow,
right now.
it's stupid late.
No, actually, he's in California, but he is French descent.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. So
course.
we have, I didn't even finish the intro.
No.
If you're new to the show, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. My name is Chuck Tomasi. Been blathering on for about 3 minutes here. And joining me right over there is Craig Stepp. How are you, Craig?
I'm doing well. We got some gardening done this weekend. Things are shaping up around here. It looks good.
To a garden party, reminisce with my old friends. All right, enough of that. Let's get into the listener feedback. Oh, I didn't tell you that I wrote a new parody song this weekend.
No, but you said you were.
Yeah, I was working on it yesterday morning and polished it up and put it in my library today.
Okay.
So, I also
Mhm.
I ordered another ukulele.
Another one?
Another
Did you
one.
wear the other one out?
It's number 4. No, the one I've got has like a cheap transducer that goes on the outside to make it a quick and dirty electric ukulele.
Yeah, right.
But it picks up a lot of handling noise, like when you're moving on the strings, you can hear that. So it's not just strum, strum. You hear clunk, clunk,
Oh, yeah.
clunk. So when I was at the Ukulele Fest in February, there were a few people that had honest to goodness electrics. And I went, I want an electric. I want an electric. Well, there was a gently used one on Amazon. Well, they came up and said, this $89 electric ukulele is now on sale for $63. I went, ooh, that's a nice price. And a little lower down, I said, do you want the $39 gently used one? I said, yes, I do.
Hey, I think I've sent you a picture of this before, but Harrison has been into ukuleles for a long time, and he's got one that Kim and I gave him for Christmas.
Rookie.
So it's made out of a cigar box, but it's electric.
Yeah, you told me about that one.
Yeah, it's really cool. Actually, I like it a lot, but I think it's got like this not sticker, but it's like a band. Well, it's kind of like a cigar band around the cigar box itself.
Yeah.
And it's like in a bad spot, and it wants to curl the edge of the not sticker, but the label. And it's like, that kind of bugs me, but anyway, it does sound pretty good being electric and all.
I've seen those built cigar box guitars. Oh God, it must have been 20 years ago.
Way back in 2005.
Way back when we started podcasting.
That's right.
Let's get on to our question of the week. Let's play the Not that music. Whoa, I got two going at once. I'm not sure what happened there. 20 years. We're well oiled.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day. Mailman, mailman, mail today. Reach right in and pull one out. Those letters. I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to
Oh, boy.
say.
Oh boy.
Mailman, mail today.
Our question of the week last time was, what franchise, movie, or TV show should be or needs to be turned into a sitcom version, laugh tracks and all? Mhm. I simply deferred to my audience and said, I don't do sitcoms. I'm allergic to laugh tracks. So
Oh, come on.
you guys tell me. Gary Lindros wrote it. He said, Highlander. I want laughs after there can only be one. And he got some good reactions off of that. Steve
Yeah.
London even replied to it and said, well, everything after the first movie is a candidate.
Yeah, the first one was well received, but not the rest. Steve London said, trigger warning for Chuck and Craig. Uh-oh.
No, it's got adult language in here. You're going to have to
I
put
know.
a manual filter on it.
I know how to read. Anything Star Trek.
Wait. We need a laugh track on that. I know how to read.
Yeah. Anything Star Trek, as no one can take that crap seriously anyhow. It said, and they put a smiley face. And then right below Steve West, she says, Lower Decks.
That one deserves to be laughed at.
It does. That's funny.
Jack Mangan says, fun question. The Terminator. And Steve writes back, he says, the Terminator in a Cheers setup. I'll be back.
Everybody laughs. He goes to the bathroom, comes back.
There's toilet paper on his foot.
Yeah. Gary Lindros says, aliens. It could be a different type of death every week. Actually, that's not far off. They're doing a Predator TV show, I think, on Hulu.
Game
so-
over, man.
Yeah. That's his catchphrase.
Digital
Game
Dan
over,
Hook
man.
says, Firefly. Ooh, he got some replies on this one.
Uh-oh.
Steve London said, oh, no, you didn't. Not Firefly.
Yeah.
To
More
which
than-
Dan replies, more than one season. And then Steve says, well, maybe for more than one season.
Yeah.
Or for one more season, excuse me.
Yeah. Justin Deal, consider the success of Red versus Blue. It would be fun to see other sci-fi gaming franchises get the same treatment. Halo did for Red versus Blue. Having the less serious backstories in settings like Mass Effect or Metroid could be fun.
We got Lone Guy's Night writes in, he says, The West Wing. And Tiffany said, that's brilliant.
That's brilliant. Steve Weshy said Severance, Breaking Bad, Lost, The Witcher,
Wow.
and The Sopranos.
That's similar to Brian Brown's collection. The Wire, Sherlock, Predator, and Chernobyl.
Sure.
Well, those are hilarious.
Hey, there's been like a million versions of Sherlock. Why isn't there a comedy version? That could be pretty good.
Were they going to play the Pink Panther theme or something?
Yeah. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
One
All
more
right.
for you.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh,
Mike
for me?
Robinson says
Oh.
Breaking Bad, Dexter, about any nature/war documentary. Oh, yeah. World War II is hysterical. Star Wars,
Yes.
Ancient Aliens, more than it already is. Doctor Who, I haven't watched the last few seasons, so forgive me if they've already turned
No.
it on that one. Thunderbirds, Space 1999, Sequest, and tangential answers are Damnation Alley and G.I. Jane.
Stay away from the G.I. Jane.
Exactly.
It got Chris Rock into trouble.
What else do we have? I got a couple of comments on my post. Brian says John Wick, and Scott says the Bourne series.
The Bourne series. Okay.
Both of which are very funny material.
Let's see. Did I get it? I don't think I. Oh, I forgot to share it. All right.
Wah, wah.
Sorry. It's been a busy week.
That's right. Didn't Steve Wishy also share it?
Oh, did he?
There was another share on there, and I swear it was his. Click through his. See what he
Mike
get.
Robinson shared it.
Mike, that's I'm sorry. I had the wrong person.
Yeah.
Did he get anything?
I don't see anything.
Nothing.
That's all right.
He even mentioned somebody.
Hey, don't post shame somebody.
I'm not post shaming someone. I post shame the guy who didn't respond.
The guy that didn't respond. You know who you are.
All right. That finishes up the listener feedback. We're going to have another question for you. 20 years, and that's as good as it gets. No, it gets better with the history. Because
boy.
sooner or later, we're going to pronounce some names right.
I'm
It's-
looking at you, Chuck.
On this day in history for April 30th, 2025, it's the 120th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. We're a third done, people. We're a third done. There are 245 days remaining in the year. It was on this date in 1492 that Spain gave Christopher Columbus his commission of exploration. Get this. He was named Admiral of the Ocean Sea, Viceroy and Governor of any territory he discovered. Doesn't matter who lived there.
Just rolls on in and
Right. I am the governor.
this is my land.
We'll call it this land.
Yeah. Also on April 30th, 1789, on the balcony of Federal Hall in Wall Street in New York City, George Washington took the oath of office to become the first president of the United States.
Hooray! There was much
Yay.
rejoicing.
Yeah. Yay.
That same date in 1803, the United States purchased Louisiana Territory from France for 15 million, more than doubling the size of the young nation.
And J.J. Thomson of the Cavendish Laboratory announced his discovery of the electron as a subatomic particle over 1,800 times smaller than a proton in the atomic nucleus at the lecture of the Royal Institution in London on this date in 1879. 1897, pardon me.
That always baffles me, and I got to write to Grammar Girl on this. Does it make sense to say something is 1,800 times smaller? Because times is a multiplier.
Is that kind of like when you go to the grocery store and it says 10 or less items or fewer?
No, we won't get into that. 1,800, it should
Right.
be, 1/1800th of the size. 1,800 times
1,800
smaller.
times fewer.
Anyway, on April 30th, 1905, Albert Einstein completed his doctoral thesis at the University of Zurich. Wait a minute. Albert Einstein is real?
He was.
I thought he was just a theoretical physicist.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, there we go.
All right. Yeah. Play the sad trombone on that. Also, today in 1939, NBC inaugurated its regularly scheduled television service in New York City, broadcasting President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New York World's Fair opening day ceremonial address.
I am here on this auspicious occasion
Yeah.
at the World's Fair. This Ferris wheel is too damn slow.
There's 50% on this side and 50% on that side, so it's all fair.
The carnies have no teeth.
Keep going.
April 30th, 1947 in Nevada. Boulder Dam is renamed Hoover Dam.
And that same date in 1961, K-19, the first Soviet nuclear submarine equipped with nuclear missiles, was commissioned.
April 30th, 1993. Good thing for us because CERN announced the World Wide Web protocols will be free.
Ah,
Free, I tell you.
and look what it's done for us.
I can explain why that's very important if you go to the
I know. You're going for it.
the Geek Library at the end and watch the video I posted on Gopher.
That's what I think I've used Gopher like twice.
Yeah, it was the 18-month wonder.
Yeah.
It was as short-lived as the Pony Express. Anyway, happy birthday goes on this date to English-Canadian cartographer and explorer David Thompson, born on this date in 1770.
I'm sorry, I lost my place.
Carl
Frederick Gauss, German mathematician and physicist, was born on the same date in 1777.
Austrian scientist and businessman, founded the AVL engineering company. Hans Liszt was born in the state in 1896. Do you know AVL is still around? And they make things like
What?
electric car motors and battery systems and
Oh,
whatnot.
do they really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Cool stuff.
Sergei Nikolasky, Russian mathematician and academic, was born on that same date in 1905, and he's still around. And no, I'm not.
No, I don't think so. He'd be 120.
Yeah.
American mathematician and engineer Claude Shannon was born 109 years ago today.
An American scientist who co-invented the GPS, Roger L. Easton, was born on this date in 1921.
Quick, what's GPS stand for other than Global Positioning System?
Go poke your sister. Wait, that didn't sound.
Get pizza soon. I'm making things up. Don't you do that when you're driving around looking at license plates? You try to make them into something they're not?
No.
All right, we got to get
I
going.
will start
It's
now.
almost over. Also, turning 87 today is American author and screenwriter Larry Niven, Mr. Ringworld.
And American pilot and astronaut Michael J. Smith was born on this date in 1945.
Also born on the same date in 1976, American astronaut Victor J. Glover.
And American actress Kirsten Dunst was born on this date in 1982.
Spider-Man's girlfriend is 43.
Yeah.
Cool. I can date her.
It's hard to believe anybody from 1982 is 43.
Also
seems like
born on
it
the
was
same
yesterday.
date in 1985, Israeli actress, and model Gail Gadot. Wow.
Gall. Good night.
She's 40.
Yeah.
All right, that's the end of the music. So we're going to do the birthdays after that.
All right.
We have to go back a little bit because we missed a week and there were some really cool people. I don't want to miss them because they were very good about putting their name on the birthday calendar recently. And as we state, we'll get it when it's your birthday. So going back to April 26th, we have Steve London from Sweden. Woo!
Yay.
Frank Lopez is also on the 26th. Woo! We're not going to do that after everyone. Never mind.
No, don't do that.
Shepard Tom from Outside the Known Universe is on the 29th, along with Timothy Carr and Dhruv Gupta. Have a good time in Vegas, Dhruv. Julio Diaz. Wow, there's a name we haven't heard from in a long time. April
Yeah.
30th. The 1st of May. Just scratched in off the newswire. Technorama.
Yeah. We're not even on our own birthday
Next
calendar.
year we'll be able to drink.
Yeah, no.
21.
we're not quite legal yet, but we're getting there.
KL Wright is on the 3rd. I think she started listening when she was a teenager, which means she's now well
Mhm.
into her 30s. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
This is getting sadder by the minute.
I know.
Leon on the 3rd. Joe Machowski. I'm going to massacre that every year from now on.
I know.
On the 5th. On the 6th, we have 4 birthdays, including Amber Pace, Bill Barber, Steve Bickle. Wow, another Steve. You need to be a patron,
Yeah. We need more Steves.
just like Brian Brown on the 6th.
Oh, Brian.
So
Brian.
that's the way it was on this day in history for April 30th, 2025. And if you want to be on the birthday calendar, go over to chuckchat.com/calendar. I'm going slowly so Craig can find the banner and put it on the screen.
Oh, is that what I'm supposed to be doing?
You remind me of our sound guy at church.
There you
Like we're halfway through the first verse before the mic comes up.
go. Right.
Someone's singing a song. It's like, Doug, Doug, Doug. If you want to get on the birthday calendar, chuckchat.com/birthday, and we will get you on the give you a shout out at the appropriate time of year. If you're not on the calendar and it's your birthday last week or this week, we wish you all the best. And here's to another 20 to you as well.
Yeah.
Unless you're 95. Well, 20 years might just happen. All right. We are stepping out of our regular show format for this special episode because it is our 20th anniversary. We started doing this show May 1st, 2005.
Mhm.
I had already been doing another show prior to that since early December of 2004. So
It's literally called Chuck Chat, right?
it was called Chuck Chat, which is why the website is called chuckchat.com.
That's right.
And I was going on and I realized my content had more than one persona, if you want to think of it that way. Some was just slice of life and some was technical.
Mhm.
And I had reached out to our small podcasting community at the time and said, hey, I want to split these up, but I don't have any ideas for names. And Craig came up with both the names Chuck Chat Freestyle and Chuck Chat Technorama, which we later shortened to Technorama. Kind of like
Yeah.
the Facebook was renamed to Facebook. Or
Yeah,
the
they had to
Star
say
Wars.
those 3 or 4 characters with the in a space.
Hey,
Oh, look at there. Steve Weshy, he says he can confirm he started listening in high school and now he's 36.
oh,
Wow.
going home now. It's after bedtime.
He does say congratulations, 20 years.
6
Thank you.
p.m. I gotta go to bed now. The
Yeah.
early happy hour's over. The early bird special's done too.
Yeah. Well, so, all right. So our format's a little different this week.
Yes, we're not gonna be doing news or remember when, that kind of stuff that you're used to. But instead, Craig thought he would take advantage of the technology of 2025, which we would have really appreciated in 2005. And he went out to Gemini and said, give me some interview questions for someone who's been doing a podcast for 20 years, or
Yeah.
words to that effect. And here's
Did
10
okay.
questions, not guaranteeing we're going to get through all of them, but they'll make a good basis for the discussion.
Yeah, it did okay.
Do you want me to be the interviewer? Or
Actually, you know what? I started to make audio clips for each of the questions, but I didn't get around to it.
Okay, well, I'll impersonate the interviewer.
Hello.
Gentlemen, congratulations on 20 incredible years of Technorama.
Thank you,
Take
sir.
us back to the very beginning. What was the initial spark, the aha moment, as it were, that made you decide, hey, let's start a podcast about tech, science, and sci-fi together? Sorry, the question mark.
There's a question mark there. Yeah.
Parenthesis, focuses on origins and partnership.
Yeah.
Well, Craig wasn't part of the picture originally. I started this about 6 weeks. Went from May 1st to middle of June on my own,
Mhm.
and realized this would be a heck of a lot easier if I had somebody to talk to or with.
Talk to you.
And Craig seemed like a reasonable guy at the time.
Well, tell him where we met.
Whoa, with that I didn't learn.
Yeah. You're wasn't a good judge of character back then.
Or now.
Yeah, or now. No, but
So we had met. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You tell the origin story of how we met.
so our buddy Kevin Devin
It was a
doing
singles bar. Just
yeah, it was, there was a priest, a rabbi, and no. So Kevin was doing a show called In the Trenches. It was about IT
stuff,
workspace,
sysadmin.
yeah, sysadmin stuff. And he was doing this roundtable, and he had several other podcasters on there as well. And Chuck had mentioned, see, my problem is I was helping other podcasters. I didn't start my own because I wanted a good idea, but I was having trouble coming up with something. And then on the roundtable, Chuck said, hey, I'm looking for a host. I needed somebody to talk to. I thought it might be better, just like you just said.
that was the interview process, people.
Yeah, that was it. And I said, whoa, I'm interested. So we got together after that and talked it out and started planning what we were wanting to do. And it's where we started in May. So, yep.
And away we went.
2005.
Now, you had been contributing like album art to Michael Gohagan and Rock and Roll Geek Show. So there, you
Yeah.
you
I
had
was
some
trying.
cred in the community.
Well, I was also doing some stuff for Kevin Devin on his show. I was providing, what was it? Not interview. I was trying to think what it was. I did some audio stuff on there. So I was helping him out because his first episode, this is how I found out about podcasting. I listened to Adam Curry. Adam Curry talked about Dave Slusher, and I went to listen to Dave Slusher. Dave Slusher was saying this guy, Kevin Devin, is doing his first podcast, and he sounds like he's ready to quit the first episode.
It was really funny.
it
It was low
he was
production
almost apologizing
quality.
for doing.
Yep.
Yeah, so I felt like I really wanted to help him out, and that's kind of where I started doing is helping other podcasters originally.
Yep. Good stuff. All right, number 2.
Oh, wait a minute. We
Yeah.
got
What? Yeah.
we got another question.
Oh.
So, do you know how many of those podcasts from the roundtable are still around today?
Slusher?
Yeah,
Like-
oh, Dave Slusher. Well, he wasn't on the roundtable.
No, but I'm talking like the late 2000s, early 2005.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that I know that I still listen to: Dave Slusher's Evil Genius Chronicles,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Butler, Rock and Roll
Yes.
Geek Show,
I've listened to him about the whole time too.
the Clinton Alvord started about the same time we started Technorama in
Yes, he did. Our buddy.
2005. He's doing Comedy Forecast, and he also does the Topic is Trek with us that we started in 2017.
He does. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Goatee, sort of funny.
Yeah. Right. Sort of funny. Well, as far as the people that were on that podcast, on that roundtable thing, I don't think don't think any of them really
George
podcast.
Starcher is not doing anything in the podcast world that I'm aware of. Kevin has moved on in his career also. I think he's retired now, is he not?
I don't remember. Did he?
I think he's also a grandfather.
No. Or wait, he had some older children. That's right. So he may be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kevin's a grandpa.
I was thinking of his two kids there.
Well, even Daniel, his younger one, is that his name?
Mhm.
He's got to be like 20 something.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Oh, ow.
He
Ow.
is.
My nephew's daughter turned 19 yesterday.
Yep.
I remember that was what was it?
Oh,
That's about how old I was when my nephew was
Oh.
born. Going, oh man, we're now into this 2 generations.
yeah. Actually, a lot of the people that we know from that era, around Kevin Devin and
Steve
some other
Holden.
friends.
Steve Holden is yeah. Oh, he's not podcasting though. He's still around.
Yeah. We all formed a group called Friends in Tech, and we all worked as formed a group like a boy band. But we were doing it was a network, network, and we were helping each other out do things, and that kind of stuff. And we were, basically just grouping together for support, really. And I don't think I'm trying to remember if any of those people are podcasts anymore. Probably, I don't think so. Yeah, it's been a while.
Seeing if I could find a Friends in Tech thing.
A little stinger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're listening to Friends in Tech.
Yeah.
Friends in Tech.
But I will tell you this: we're still in touch with a lot of all those people.
Oh yeah.
We text every once in a while. There's an email chain. Actually, the group email for all of us is still running. So
Usually
Very good.
about anytime somebody's birthday comes up is when I hear from George Starcher.
yeah, that's right. Birthdays. All right.
All right. 20 years is practically a geological era in internet time,
Right.
especially for technology. How has the show itself evolved from those early days in start year like 2005? What is that?
Likely.
Compared to now,
Yeah.
beyond just the tech you cover, think format, your approach, maybe even your recording setup focuses on evolution and production.
Right. I think that, I can tell you, I know joked about it earlier, but Skype, broadband has changed. It's really, so I wouldn't say that our formats changed much.
Live streaming.
But yeah, live streaming, broadband, because we had to do double-ended recording.
Craig
So
would record his audio and I would record mine,
Yeah.
and we put it together
wait a
for
minute.
highest possible quality, because if you
Yeah.
recorded one side remotely, it wasn't all that.
Yeah. So that was I'll say I was happy to get the show out, but it was a time sink because I would have to try and I get his audio, download it. That's also a big thing because it was a huge file, but at the time. And so when you try to line them up, especially on something stupid like Skype recording, there was always a little fluctuation
Mm-hmm.
with lag and everything. So I got a little side story to tell too. So I'd have to edit it up and try and make sure everything gets lined up. If you get it lined up and you sit back and start listening, it will inevitably
One track starts to drift.
it drifts again. I'm like, so it was ridiculously hard to do sometimes.
Later, I found a way to fix that real easy. You just compress it. If one is like 5 seconds longer than the other, you compress the longer one, and you can't tell over the course of 45 minutes. You won't notice a pitch change or a speed change or anything.
Yeah, there were some things we could have probably done better. But I'll tell you one thing I did do is sometimes I got tired of editing out all the lags. So, there was a big conversation about how people did you edit out the ums and ahs out of your podcast? And people were focused on that. And I was like, I actually added them in. I had a library of coughs, ums, and stuff like that from Chuck. And so when I said something and there was this dead silence, like I would expect a laugh, I threw a laugh in there. I had little chuckles and stuff like that, or throat clears, little kind of.
Craig was doing artificial intelligence the hard way, trying to make it sound natural.
Yeah. So that I did make. I was pretty happy with the way I was editing them, and just took a long time. And now it's like it's not that big a deal. StreamYard is a big help.
Oh, there was no live streaming when we started.
No, but being able to record like this and to get the quality that went straight to hard drive has been fantastic.
Technology, I'm using stuff that I never would have imagined back in 2005.
Well, nobody listens to a podcast on a iPod anymore. Maybe they might.
Oh, wait. Where is it? Remember we found those stingers? Don't touch that click wheel.
Oh yeah. Do you have it on there? Yeah.
I should have lined those up. That would have been priceless.
Yeah.
Like we when I first got started, didn't really have anybody doing voiceover, so I hired 4 clips for $50 from Adam. What was Adam's last name? Anyway, he did a nice job. Only now it sounds kind of dated because what was it? Faster than Fiber Channel.
Yeah.
Older than punch cards. Yeah.
Run circles around your ring network.
Let's see if I can find that real fast.
Well, that was also the other thing that we focused on a lot early on was, we were a couple old tech guys, computer guys, and there was an audience for that. There were a lot of people that also were. And so we were talk stories about things we've done in the past or old technology. And that's where we got our start. And, you only have so many of those stories. So those have gotten a little fewer and far between, but we talk about the other things that we're interested in, like science and sci-fi or really all things geek.
I can't find it real quick.
That's all right.
I'll
I'll drop it in post.
The general show purpose, the format, the mission statement, if you will, that we recorded back in episode 0 still holds up.
Yeah, it does.
Hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
We changed the format a little bit. As I mentioned, we put the birthdays closer to it took a long time to figure that one out. And what did we recently took stuff more or less out of the media corner and did the pass me the remote. Yeah. So that's a fairly new change, is to share what we're listening to, what we're watching, what we're reading, that kind of stuff with the listeners.
Yeah.
Show length got a little longer. I think originally we were around the 35 minute mark, but that quickly went to 45 and now it's closer to an hour.
Yeah. I think most of our shows are probably on average about 45 minutes, I was going to say, but in the past, and that's grown to about an hour now.
Yeah. Let's see. Over 2 decades, you must have covered thousands of stories.
Uh-huh.
Can each of you share one specific tech development or science news item you discussed back then that absolutely blew your minds at the time, but seems almost quaint or everyday now? Wish I had prepared.
Yeah. Well, they announced the iPhone after we started podcasting, right? 2007?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So there you go. Now they're everywhere.
iPad was 2010. I was like,
yeah.
You know how many people tried tablet devices and failed? I was in the same boat as Jonathan Strickland going, this isn't going to work. Apple's just, it'll never fly. Yet there are 2 right in front of me right now.
I know, right? Yeah. I even had one for a while. Yeah, I had one for a while. I'd used it on the bus, played a lot of Angry Birds on it. But yeah, they were a little pricey at the beginning. At least I thought they're a little pricey, but they were really cool devices.
All right, this one may be a bit of a stretch. You can tell it's written by AI because it says Technorama is known for its blend of information and humor.
Focus on humor.
Can you recount one of the absolute funniest moments you remember from recording the show? Maybe a technical meltdown during that wasn't funny.
Oh, I know.
A hilarious listener email or a story that just sent you both into uncontrollable laughter.
I can tell you a technical meltdown.
I got one of those ready. Keep going.
All right. So several times we joke about it. We joked about it at the beginning of this show about hitting record. There's been several times where we've had to re-record our show because we forgot to hit record, and start the show. So we were halfway through the show and our we got a problem. I didn't hit record. So,
Yep. We
So what
recorded
was-
over and it would sound better.
well, what was funny, it was like a rehearsal because the next time the show was literally like 10 minutes shorter, because we kind of made the same jokes and did the same things that we did when we weren't recording. It was kind of funny. Yeah. Oh yeah. Here you go. The Blockbuster doorbell. Stung. Yeah.
Welcome to Blockhead Video.
Let's see. Oh, he says Steven says, I vote that you bring back the old long intro back for this episode. See, I thought you were supposed to play it at the beginning.
We did. Technorama. Technorama. Which one? Here's some of those old the old sweepers.
Already in the microprocessor.
Faster than fiber channel.
You're listening to Chuck Tomasi on ChuckChat.com.
That's for the Fiber Channel.
Airing his thoughts online since 1985, you're listening to Chuck Tomasi.
That means I've been at this for 40 years.
Yeah.
Don't touch that click wheel. You're listening to ChuckChat.com.
Ramblings of a Technophile.
Family's of an idiot. I was
Yeah.
looking for the one with Ben and Keith. I can't find it. It was in the sweepers folder. Dang, where is it? I'm looking. I'll find it fast. Otherwise, I'm just to tell you about it. I'm sure some of the veterans know which one I'm talking about. There it is.
Oh.
Did you ever wonder why the
No.
early space shuttles had a white external fuel tank and then the later ones did not?
I have no idea. Seriously. Not a clue.
Because once they filled that tank, they didn't want rays and things interfering.
Oh yeah.
That's the term.
What?
Raisin things.
Wow. Thank you, Professor Mossy.
Them raisins. Like raisin bread, raisin muffins, raisin things.
The raisin things. Wow. Thinks it's grapes and things.
You know what? That totally sounds like something I should have said.
Californium raisins.
Hey! California raisin things.
Through the grapevine.
We've broken the show again.
Story's over now. Move on.
Yeah.
So earlier in that episode, we were talking about the atomic element californium and how it's used to kickstart nuclear reactors. And then we moved on to the space shuttle tank and why it's not painted. And out came californium raisin things. Still one of my favorites. I know
great.
Keith is up there smiling,
Oh,
laughing his own way.
That's right.
On memory. That was one of many that just like totally tanked. That's why I said we broke the show again.
Right. That's funny.
Good times, good times. Yeah, that was uncontrollable laughter because we broke it at that point. And even as recently as last summer, we were still laughing about raisin things.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I had said cosmic raisin things. Nope. It was just they didn't want raisin things. I'm like, oh, that's even worse.
I got an idea for a Technorama t-shirt now.
Oh, that would be beautiful for our 20th anniversary Patreon shirt.
There you go.
We'll get people joining just to be patrons for that.
Yeah. Now, not so much a meltdown, but there has been times when we've laughed so hard it broke the show for a few minutes. Several times, or a bunch of times rather, it's happened. Yeah, I mean, I can't recount them all but we certainly laughed our butts off on the show.
All right, question 5. We have 10 of them, and I don't think we're going to get to them because it's 40 minutes in already.
All right.
Maintaining a partnership and creating creative collaboration for 20 years is remarkable. I have one of those too, remarkable. What's the secret to the Chuck and Craig dynamic? How do you keep the chemistry fresh, navigate disagreements? Do you even have them? And continue creating together after all this time? Love. Moving on.
Yeah, I can't really say anything. I mean, it just happens. Especially when one of us gets an idea and then another one starts bouncing off of it, and it goes back and forth. And so I know sometimes it's a joke in an echo chamber, but we make something out of it. We just have a good time. So
That's why a lot of this stuff sounded funnier on paper or in the chat.
yeah, and that's where it should have stayed. But we
Mhm.
brought it into the light. That's it.
If you people could have an insight as to what happens in the planning stages of our Dragon Con panels, they're hysterical.
Oh yeah, maybe
I-
we should make that the show.
We should make that a show. Every planning session, most of it would be boring, but there's those few creative moments where like, dang, that's funny. Write it down. And then we get it to the show in Atlanta and go, it sounded funnier on the Zoom call. But
Right.
anyway, looking back through the archives, is there a particular episode, segment, or interview that stands out to each of you as being especially proud of, or one that was unexpectedly impactful, either for you personally or based on listener feedback? Well, it'd be nice if we had listener feedback.
Yeah, that's kind of fallen away.
Yeah, the network show. We used to get so much voicemail. We'd have a separate episode for that.
Yeah, that was amazing. Sometimes we'd have 5, 6 messages to go through. I'll tell you, there's been 2 of them, and I think you'll probably agree with me, Chuck. We were doing some interviews with people.
Lots of wonderful interviews. Yeah.
Yeah. So our first big one, I think, was Adam Savage.
Mhm.
And he was in the midst of Mythbusters. I think it was like 2 or 3 years old at that point.
Oh,
And-
no, it was older than that. We got him
Uh,
like in late 2005. That show was around
It
since.
started in 2003.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought it started like in
So-
97 or something.
No, it wasn't that far. But what was cool was I was a little nervous to talk to him because hey, I've been watching this guy, and really looked up to him. And then we get on the phone with him, and you could hear he's on his patio or something, smoking a cigarette. It's like, oh, this is just a regular guy. It's one of those
Yep.
moments. But what was cool was talking with him. He gave us insight on a lot of episodes we were still seeing 6 months later. I
Right.
went, oh, that's the one he was talking about. The other one that was surreal, and I'll let you tell the story about this one, was when we met up with Edward James Olmos.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, Chuck, was that not surreal? We were sitting
It
in a big
was-
room, but it's just 3 of us sitting there in chairs close
It
together.
was totally unexpected of
Yeah.
what there's a couple of interviews that just kind of reset my brain on how to approach interviews, whether I'm the interviewer or the interviewee.
Mhm.
That first appearance on This Week in Tech, which was like episode 35,
Yeah.
where you guys basically pushed me into the hot seat with Leo Laporte.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't have dropped the football more. In fact, he said, welcome to the show. And I was so nervous. I said, well, I welcomed him to his own show.
Welcome
So
to your show.
I promised that I would never do that again, and came back the next year with like some ready-made material. So I was like, go for it. Set me up. I'm ready with the punchline. And I would just
Put me in,
throw it up.
coach.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Totally different experience. But the ones that we did, Adam Savage was a lot of fun. Edward James Olmos, a lot of you may know him as Commander Adama from Battlestar Galactica in the mid 2000s. It was very popular about the time we started this show. We were at Dragon Con. I think this was 2010. We'll have to look
Yeah.
in our archives when we did this. It wasn't the first year, 2009. Because we weren't in the parade and we had to scoot Saturday morning to get to the parade. But we had gone around the Walk of Fame, the Hall of Fame, whatever they call it, with all the stars
Mhm.
on Friday and said,
Yeah.
hey, would you be willing to do an audio interview with us? And he goes, sure, come back tomorrow morning.
Saturday
It sounded
morning.
like he just blew us off, but we weren't smart enough. We were staying in the Westin, and on the
In
way down,
Atlanta.
there's a coffee shop.
Yep.
And Craig would get his morning coffee every morning. And I said, hey, get me one too. And he goes, you don't drink coffee. I said, trust me on this.
Mhm.
So carry it from the Westin down to the Hilton. We walk in, we go up the escalators that aren't there anymore.
That's right.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
no, they were. They are. It's the back escalators. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And walking right in front of us at the top of the escalator, heading towards the Walk of Fame when it used to be in the Hilton, is Edward and his handler, lackey, whatever, carrying box of stuff,
Yeah.
probably books to sign or hand out or something or sell. And he says, you boys don't know where I can get a cup of coffee. boom, out comes my right arm with a cup of coffee.
Yes, right.
And Craig's looking at me like, what the hell was that?
yeah. Yeah. He had the coffee at the ready. That was awesome.
He goes, I like you boys already.
But it was surreal sitting in the chairs, just the 3 chairs.
And we get to the
It was
walk of
just
fame
us.
like an hour before anybody else. There's
Yeah.
nobody there. And we're really tired because we stayed up way too late the night before, probably
Yeah.
looking out 4 hours of sleep.
Right.
And this interview was probably the most subdued interview I ever had because I sound like an NPR interview. Like, tell us about your childhood. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Right.
Yeah. But he was great. And
Very gracious of him. It was nice.
yes, very nice of him. And it got a little louder as it went on because people were coming in to do their Walk of Fame stuff.
Right.
What else? Dr. Michio Kaku twice.
He was fun to talk to, and he was you could tell he, much like Steve Wozniak, he had his stories set up.
Yeah.
You know, so when you asked
He
him
was
certain
promoting
things,
a book too. So
promoting a book, but he had stories, you know, in his head. So when you ask, you hear similar stories other places. But whenever we did interviews, I tried my best to find the questions to ask that not everybody's asking, you know.
Yep.
And I think we've done pretty good for the most part. Sometimes it's kind of obvious to ask some of these questions, but anyway. So
Adam Stelzner, the guy who landed the
Yes.
Curiosity rover on Mars, he's
Mhm.
actually still working there. He's kind of the manager of all of these things. They were showing I was watching a special recently. I think we mentioned this on the show, like in the last 6 months, watching a video about how they're putting together the lander that's going to pick up the soil samples on Mars and then shoot them off into space.
Oh, yeah.
So a second mission can come and get them and a third mission. And he says, we got to get this right. And it was the same kind of, this isn't working. And we got 12 weeks to finish this whole thing up. Can't start over. So
Nope.
he's still in that same racket. We talked to a number of other actors, Neil Grayston, Gil Gerard,
Yeah. Also, that was kind of a hero for me.
Colin
Well,
Ferguson.
Gil Gerard was funny because we, you know, I knew him as Buck Rogers and everything, and
Yep.
we got to sit down and talk with him, and he had the mouth of like 2 sailors. he was boisterous and fun though.
We talked to Richard Garriott, Lord
Yep.
British, astronaut and game guy and philanthropist and all kinds of other. Yeah, the interviews have been very special. And just having, you know, our friends over and being part of the show, whether it's Clinton when we're at Dragon Con or Ben and Keith when they were here, Mike Meningay when he lived here. So yeah, the show has evolved a little bit. The
It has.
equipment has definitely evolved. I started out with no mixer. I was talking into the laptop microphone.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago, laptop microphones were not built for, you know, Zoom calls like they are today. I did eventually get a really crummy 4-channel like Radio Shack mixer and then worked my way up. Now I got this nice rack mounted thing that I drive from an iPad. I got a nice one when I moved into the house. Nice 64-channel digital mixer that it broke my heart that I had to rip it up, but now it's making payback on eBay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Read that last question. Let's do that last because we're getting long on time now.
20 years is a monumental milestone. As you celebrate this anniversary, what does Technorama mean to each of you personally now? And looking ahead, what are your hopes and aspirations for the show as you head into your year 21 and beyond? Oh, we're shutting things down.
It said beyond.
This is the end. We didn't.
Yeah. Right. No, let's don't do that. I'll tell you what it means to me. Or you want to go first?
Go ahead.
The whole thing I can probably sum it up in probably a couple of words. I would say friendship, because not just with you, Chuck, but that one's pretty obvious. I think we've been really good friends for 20 years, at least maybe 19 of them. But but
there were those 3 days on the Star Trek cruise. Didn't work out.
But it's the people that have rallied around the show, listeners. Some of them became friends, some we've lost.
Yes.
So when I say friendship, I don't take that lightly. I say I treat everybody as a friend, and sometimes we've gotten some people that are even closer than that around the show, and I value that a lot. As Stephen Weshy, he said he's been listening since the beginning. You know, people like that, just and then you kind of become a little bit of a part of the show because you're commenting back at us and
It's
you're
a
contributing
community.
a little bit.
Yeah,
It's a community.
it really
It's
is.
great. So,
And we don't take that lightly. Very, very honored to have this. Like Craig said, it's all about the people. Uh, the friendships and relationships that we got on a global basis made me realize a few years after we started that this is a social network.
mhm.
I didn't think of podcasting first. You think about it's like an internet radio show. You just talk and people listen, and if you're lucky, you get a few more listeners. But it really turned into a social network when we went to California in 2008, 9, 8. When was the? Oh no, it was when we went to see Will Shattuck, who I
Yes.
understand just became a grandpa or will be soon. I saw that on
Wow.
Facebook. Yeah. And he treated us like royalty. Like, dude, we put on
It
our
was
pants
great.
one leg at a time, sometimes backwards, but uh, we're just regular people. And going over to London and um, oh, I knew this would happen. Uh, one of our listeners came down from Birmingham to have dinner with me at a fish and chips place. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Well, remember, was it the first podcast expo we went to, or the second one, the first one? Um, we had a listener go out of his way. He was in the United States, and he came and intentionally to meet us.
Was that Avner?
Yes,
Yeah.
Abner. Yep. Yeah, and which was pretty awesome in itself. And we've had some other Philip from Australia.
Yep.
He came and they get tons of vacation time, and he came down and hung out with me. We went to dinner. I took him to an Irish pub, but it was good. Yeah, people like that we met often at Dragon Con. Leon. So yeah, and we've even had some generational stuff going on. Jorga Schrawen, his
Jorgen,
father.
dad. Yep.
His father was an original listener.
Or
Sadly passed away,
Luke,
and
Luke Chuck Stalker. His dad.
Luke, yeah, that's right. So yeah, I also want to mention while I'm thinking about it, Mark in Memphis. He passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah.
If you listen to the show for a long time, he actually was sending in audio clips and doing silly things for us. Sometimes we'd ask him to do things, and we lost him, I think, around 2015 or 16, something like that. It's been a while. So, and you mentioned Keith. I want to say, really miss Keith being around.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but you can hear him laughing and playing audio clips on our show if you go back far enough. Yeah. So,
And a huge thank you while we're on the topic of people and the community. Huge thank you to our patrons. We started that in 2016, 2017.
mhm.
Some of you have been there the whole time. I just did another import from Patreon into Notion,
Yeah.
and we're not making billions of dollars at this, but you're really helping offset the cost of the hosting, the software upgrades, the occasional hardware repair or upgrade. It makes a big difference. It really does. And thank you for the $1 a show or $5 a show, whatever it takes to keep that alive. There's currently 29 people that support this show. It hasn't always been that way, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah. And thanks for listening.
Yes.
As I've said before, a podcast is just a MP3 on a server, but when you have listeners, you got a community.
Yep.
That's right. So, and my aspirations for the future, we're still continuing to do this show, and I want to do some more interviews. I really enjoy doing those and prepping for those, trying to find those questions that not everybody's quite asking. I like doing that.
I may be open to that now that I don't do that for a job anymore.
Yeah, there you go.
Having to do that every 2 weeks. Like, who am I interviewing this week? What questions are we doing?
Oh yeah.
But I learned a number of things. This is the cool part: is podcasting helped me get into. It became the DNA of what I did for my day job from like 12 or more years. And I learned things in podcasting that I could take to work. And then I learned things at work that I could take to podcasting. So it truly was an illness. And I've taken a 12-step program to stop, but it hasn't worked yet.
I will say this too. One of the things that about podcasting that really got my attention was I'm doing the things I used to do with cassette tapes. You know, my friend Mark, he's no longer with us. Him and I would do these stupid radio show things on cassettes.
Yep.
And we would edit them like you would with a turntable. I had 2 tape decks and one would record, and to do the splicing, I would pause and play, one or the other and flip back and forth. But all that stuff kind of built up into podcasting. Like, wow, I can actually do this. And if you listen to our earlier shows, we were doing the little intros with gag intros. And that was so much fun. Got to learn more about editing and sound effects and all that. So all of that put together, and I've never been really shy about putting myself out there a lot, but it's also helped me. Podcasting has made me more open to being the first one to raise my hand when somebody says, "Hey, who wants to present?" I'll present. Yeah, here's one. Hey there, Barn.
Hey, Andy.
What you got there?
It's one of those newfangled iPod things.
Golly. I've seen that before.
Yeah, Gomer. You can also play music and movies. No more driving Thelma Lou up to Mount Pilot. You can also view pictures and listen to things called podcasts.
Pa, what's a podcast?
Oh, yeah. You see, Opie, it's like a radio show, but you get it on your computer.
Oh, Andy, I think Opie might be too young for such things.
Oh, be,
Donna.
let the boy be. Oh, be.
Creepy.
I just download some podcasts to try out. Let's see. In the Trenches, Career Opportunities, Tech News Radio, Digital Experience, Typical Mac User, Typical PC.
All our friends in
try
tech.
this one. Technorama.
Oh, Barney, I don't think that's such a good idea.
Oh, let her rap.
Shut up,
Otis.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. That was pretty good. Yeah. So it's got me, podcasting has got me into that, be the first one to present. I'm not shy in that sense, showing up on the camera and talking. I know if I'm going to sound stupid, I'm going to sound stupid, and you can see me too. I don't care.
Voice for radio. No, a face for radio.
Right. Oh, yeah. And I will give one more shout out. I used to love John Boy and Billy. I don't know if anybody's ever listened to them. They still broadcast. And that was the kind of morning show I liked. And that's what we kind of ended up with, but with a geek slant. That straight guy / dumb redneck kind of thing. That's what you got. Anyway.
We haven't figured out who the straight man is yet, though.
Yeah. We'll figure that out in the next 20 years.
We'll have to have a board meeting on that one.
Yeah.
Alrighty, which takes us right up to the hour. So we do have show notes for this show. If you want to see some of the other questions we didn't ask, maybe ask them yourself or ask them on the listener. Oh, dang. We have a listener. I totally forgot.
Hello. This is Jack Mangan.
Voicemail.
I'm very deadpan. You may know me from the Deadpan podcast, various appearances on Technorama, and from Support Life and Music. Just wanted to say, Chuck and Craig, congratulations on 20 years. Very impressive. Great job, guys.
That means Holly is now 7.
We appreciate y'all calling. Thanks. I appreciate it.
I don't think he was married when we started podcasting.
Oh, I don't, man.
Or maybe it was his first marriage. I don't know. There's been a lot of people who've gone through life changes since we started. And thank you, Jack, for that message.
Yes, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. We do, like I said, we do have show notes. I think I put about 20 videos into the Geek Library, including one on Gopher. I've got a 2-part on the IBM PS1. Yeah, it had to be in 2 parts.
A 2-part on the PS1.
which not a one part on the PS2.
Yeah, right.
The world's most illegal gaming PC. Guy was sent the computer rig out of a cop car.
What? Okay.
And took it apart and then loaded, what was it? He loaded Doom on it, I think.
Oh gosh.
It came with a version of Windows. He said, "Oh no, we're gonna load Linux on this thing."
Yeah.
It was just fun. So good stuff all through the show notes. Question of the week: should we keep going? Or this is like the Rocky and Bullwinkle show, or we've been rambling about tech for 20 years now. Thinking back to 2005, what prediction about the future of technology did you totally believe back then that seems absolutely hilarious or wildly wrong now?
Gopher.
Flying cars.
Flying cars. Yeah.
Elon Musk. Oh.
iPods would still be around. No.
Some form of listening device.
Yeah, some form of listening device. Actually, well, I thought that we would just, implant our podcast into your head.
Right.
Just
The
download it.
USB on the back of my head, like the Matrix.
That's right. Right.
Of course, if you put the USB in, it would have been like a USB connection that doesn't exist anymore. Micro? What was I? A mini? What was I thinking?
What's wrong with Chuck's head? Oh, he's got a little bit of lint in his USB port.
The paper clip. Make sure it's powered down first.
Yeah. Power him down.
Why is one side of my head swelled up? Oh, those old batteries, they kind of explode.
Yeah.
I got leaky caps. No, that sounds like a problem I should see my doctor for.
I think Donna wants to return you under warranty.
Well, that expired long ago.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We're going to take us out with the usual music. If you want to get in touch with us, maybe call in like Jack did. Call the listener line 707-530-2428. Even if you didn't hear this show for another 12 months, you can still call in and wish us happy 20th anniversary.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wished a friend of mine happy belated birthday 2 weeks later. He still appreciated it.
That's kind of the limit, I
I
think.
found out he's moving.
Oh.
Good thing I have his phone number and email address.
Right.
Oh, you can email us, speaking of email, technorama@chuckchat.com. Or if you're just listening to this while you're riding along with a friend in the car, search for Technorama Podcast on the internet. You will find us. We guarantee it. And if you really appreciate the show, consider being a Patreon member at patreon.com/Technorama Podcast. Craig, that sound means give us a binary high five.
All right. 101 times 4, that would be 20.
Should have rolled a D20 like old times.
Yeah. I think I got him right back there.
I don't know where mine went. They're in the
Mine are
closet
right
somewhere.
over there.
All right. Oops, I don't need to pull that out. We need to go into our Patreon show.
Yep.
He's going to pop the SD card out and start copying files. But no.
All right. Thanks, Steven.
Yes,
Have a good night
thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you for being there all along. We'll catch you next time.
That's right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.